Oh, la, brothers. You going? You still going?
I was digging that new music.
You like it?
I keep forgetting. I didn't even
You
know.
like it?
It was awesome. I liked that. I was like, yeah, that's a pretty good groove right there.
It is pretty cool, isn't it?
Oh man, I'm sorry.
That's all right. Listen, man. I'd rather have you dancing than not dancing, bro.
Oh, dude. Go ahead, do your intro. I took it. I'm sorry.
No, not at all, man. Never apologize. You should never apologize. Hola, brothers and sisters. Leaf, what's up? Kevin Corbalese, I see. B. Scott is watching. What's up, brother? Listen, Duncan's got his music up too loud now. That's twice she's interrupted.
God Almighty.
I'm gonna let you slide, though. I'm gonna let you slide.
I'm not techie, man. I'm so not techie.
Yeah, please remember to share the show. It is Care Viajante here for the Stogie Road Show, and I am Duncan. What the f, dude?
I'm trying to say. I'm sorry, everybody.
It's the fucking third time, Duncan.
I was trying to be quiet about it. I forgot there's another little button I had to push. Oh my God.
You're the guest. What's up, Quincy?
What's going on, Kevin? The Kevins are watching.
Okay, Kevin Shahan. What's up? What's up, cats and kittens? Meow. Okay. What's up, everybody? I'm going to try this for a fourth time, Duncan.
Go ahead.
Kevin Shahan, stand by. I'm going to send you an invite if Duncan interrupts one more time.
One more time.
So, welcome, everybody. As you see, I know, right? Kevin, it's like he's brand new to this. So, it's the new music. I think it screwed him off. I screwed him up. I got rid of the horns and everything. Sorry, Duncan.
Yeah, man, it's all right, brother. You know.
But I want to thank everybody. I want to thank everybody for joining us. We are doing the Stogie Road Diaries. Now, Stogie Road Diaries started a while ago, a couple of years ago. And we're coming back and we're revisiting it. I think when you've been doing this show as long as we have been, you go back to some of the stuff that worked because you kind of can get off the beaten path and
just don't put new music because
fuck Kevin's shit show, dude. That's not right, Kevin. You know what, man? We don't need that negativity around here. But what's going on, Bones? Please remember to share the show. But we go back to Stogie Road Diaries, and it's a series of just educational and fun, obviously fun, programs like we're having right now. I am Care, and I have my good friend Duncan Ramon Echevarria from Don Unoli Cigars with me. And I thought, who better than to have on the show than one of my longest friends, I won't say oldest, but one of my longest friends who introduced me, to really the cigar industry. He just really did. What's up, Big D? Big Daryl Iverson hopped on.
What's going on, Daryl? How you doing, brother?
Man, Daryl and I had a nice time last night. We were just sitting there smoking cigars and shooting the shit.
Tell you what, man. Listen, you did that in English beautifully. I'm about to do it in Spanish real quick for everybody. Muy buenas noches a todo el mundo que está mirando hoy. Tenemos aquí a su servidor Duncan Ramón Echevarría y claramente al anfitrión, el maestro de ceremonias, el más bárbaro de bárbaros, Kerry Horney, el dueño de su propia marca, Stogie Road Cigars. Estamos aquí para servirle hoy algo interesante, delicioso, bonito y para que se diviertan.
Hey, Mary.
Los diarios de Stogie Road para servirle a todo el mundo. Did you get that? Did you get
I got all that. I heard Kerry, Drano, Tomahawk, and I don't know what else.
And Tomahawk. Yes. There was a little bit. There's Aunt Mary right there. Hey, Aunt Mary.
Aunt Mary. But what I was saying is that, the Stogie Road Diaries, you and I had done them a while back. We did a series of interviews with cigar brand owners. We've done a series of educational pieces. Mm-hmm. And I thought, what better way? Kevin Shahan said you forgot to say, go!
Oh, yeah. Go! I don't have the breath that guy did. Nor am I going to get the check that he was getting for that.
Freaking, you know what? If it's not you,
man,
if it's not you, it's Kevin. Kevin, you guys are like human monkey wrenches. You're human relay.
You know what it is? It's the beard. It's the. I'm. My goal is Kevin Shahan beard, man. That's where I'm going. That's
Is it really?
Dude, Kevin Shahan.
You know,
beard.
Kevin Shahan. They have a Kevin Shahan face on Snapchat.
Oh God Almighty!
They do. That's the cigar prop. That's how That's how popular he is.
Well, I'll tell you what, man. He's a good kid, and he's put me onto a couple of good tips as well that I appreciate. It's Kerry, real quick. Sometimes people say, "Oh,
real quick." That's impossible.
But look at he's never even met me. He had me on a show one time. He's given me some good tips as to like what I can do to to make my show better. So that sharing, man, that's really a great guy right there. So thank
Kevin.
You. Yeah.
Enough about Kevin. Kevin Shahan. Enough about him.
Enough about him. He's just his handsome Floridian guy. That's
he
all.
is. He is.
Damn him to hell. Damn him to hell.
Yeah. So the Stogie Road Cigars and the Stogie Road Diaries is educational, and tonight we're going to talk about construction of cigars, and this is going to be a series from construction to the blends of cigars, wrapper, binder, filler, the tobaccos, the aging, everything about cigars, but take it right back to the basics. And for me, and I'm gonna pop up a picture here for all those who do not know.
Hey, what's that?
What?
What's that?
That's a cigar.
Oh wow! Look at that.
That is, you see, Duncan. What you have is a cigar, right? And a cigar has three major components. You have the filler, which is the inside of the cigar. I'm going to be real basic here. The binder, which holds it together, which binds the filler together. And the filler can consist of multiple tobaccos from multiple regions. The filler can consist of long filler, which is one nice long leaf, or it could be short leaf or a mixture of both. The binder, that holds it together, and then there's the wrapper. And the wrapper is the beautiful, flavorful.
Should I start rapping now?
You can if you want.
I'm gonna go back to my Cuban rapping days. Yo, what's up to all my sisters and all of my brothers? Looks like I'm having
I muted you.
Looks like I'm having a really bad seizure.
We're fine. So we're going to talk about construction, and specifically about the barber pole construction. I do have a passion. Ain't nobody got time for Kevin Shahan. There will be a PowerPoint. There will not be a PowerPoint, Kevin. There will not be. We are not going to teach to our lowest common denominator. But I want to talk about the construction of a cigar, and specifically the barber pole. I know you've done a lot of research on the barber pole. Obviously, my brands are barber poles. But I picked this to start off with because I've talked to Daryl. I've talked to Kevin. I've talked to Bob the Cigar Guy. I've talked to you. Anybody who's a cigar reviewer or says they're a cigar reviewer, in my opinion, I'm not a cigar.
Dreamed of it? Has ever dreamed of being
dreamed of it? Yeah, because I'm not a cigar reviewer.
If you have dreams of being a cigar reviewer, you're it.
What's up, Troy? What I always believe is that I don't care how good the blend, if the construction is for shit, you really can't appreciate the blend. That's mine. Hey, my dad just said hello, Duncan.
Hey, Bobo, what's going on? How you doing? The real deal, and the
big Tony
that I love.
The big Tony.
Wasn't that his enforcer name back in the days?
It was back in the day.
For the Pennsylvania Dutch Mafia.
Look at that. He says hello to you first and me second. Damn it. Construction is important in anything, whether it's a house, whether it's this finely constructed Y.A. Beta made by Y.A. Bear Clothing, construction of a cigar, construction of food, whatever the case may be. So construction of cigar, in my opinion, allows you to appreciate the blend. And, Daryl and I talked about this because he reviews, this really complex reviewing system, but it's the whole experience. And if you have a cigar that's not constructed well, it really ruins the experience. You still maybe get some decent flavors, but you get very, very frustrated.
Kevin Shahan has just busted many a person's dream of being a cigar reviewer's bubble. And it's like,
Wow,
boy,
he's all right.
dang, it's just, what are some poor young 21-year-old hopes of ever being a cigar reviewer? You just dash those dreams to the floor.
He does that with everything. Just ask Jessica. So we talk about barber poles. You start thinking about some of the barber poles that are on the market. And the very first barber pole I ever smoked was the Rocky Patel A10.
Gotcha.
And then I think of something a little bit different, like the Filthy Hooligan by Alec Bradley, which is a great cigar. Yep. You think of this. There are debates. I don't consider the CAO the CAO American a barber pole, but of course, like, my opinion matters because it's a strip of tobacco. It's not a true barber pole, and I'm going to have Duncan get into what a true barber pole is. The American just has a strip of the tobacco, and then when you think of barber poles, you obviously always think of these Stogie Road Cigars Edition 35. However, the best barber pole, the one that I love, is right there. The Fuente Between the Lines.
And I clap like a giddy schoolgirl. Yay!
How else would a giddy schoolgirl clap? So Duncan, I mentioned about the American has got a strip of tobacco. That's if you're using a wrapper on a cigar, Connecticut, Maduro, Candela, Habano, whatever the case may be,
right,
and you wrap a strip of tobacco around it, is that a barber pole?
And what we're going to do right now is we're going to go to meatloaf to let everybody simmer. Give me 30 seconds, people. I'm a Cuban crazy guy.
My first big question to you, and you run.
I know.
You see, while we wait for Duncan to go get his meatloaf, I'm actually enjoying a Karen Burger Habano box press delicious cigar. Cigar prop sucks. There you go. Kevin, then you don't have to smoke it. But that is, I'm telling you, that short story or Between the Lines is a fantastic cigar. And if anybody can tell me how that cigar got the names, I offered it the other night. I'm going to offer it tonight on tonight's show only. If you could tell me how the Between the Lines got its name, I will send you a sampler pack of Stogie Road cigars. So, Duncan, I think he's not. Oh, there he is. He's back. Look at that. Okay, he's back. Look at that. Did you get the meatloaf?
Meatloaf has.
You wearing a different shirt.
That's I just took my jacket off. I say this is gonna get intensely heated, so I gotta get ready in case I break out in a cold sweat. So I ask. I mean, first of all, we're gonna get into what makes a barber pole. And I think let's start there, and then I could go back and revisit my question. Well, you mentioned that, and again, I'm gonna say it like this.
I have not, Chris.
You brought up the CAO America, whether it's a barber pole or not a barber pole, because as opposed to the two full-size strips, which normally range between an average of 2 to 2.5 inches. When you overlap them, that's what you're looking for, about a 4 to 4.5 inch full-size leaf. But again,
right.
In this case, they did not do that. They actually used a smaller strip. So is it a barber pole because they did not go by the standard sizes that are utilized in the two strips? Yes, construction-wise, it's still because of the look. That's the
okay. Well, that's the thing. What makes a barber pole? The construction or the look?
So the aesthetic aspect of that makes it a barber pole. The construction style, quote, and I'm using quotes, the construction style gives you that aesthetic. Now, is it a true barber pole design?
You should get into politics. You're answering this question from both sides.
It's then again, it doesn't have the right size tobacco leaves.
What makes a barber pole cigar, Duncan?
Easy. When you're looking at the two leaves, they must measure an average standard size of 2 to 2.5 inches. and of course they have to measure the full length that you're going to work on the actual tobacco. So you're looking at anywhere between 8 to 10 inches, shorter, longer, but somewhere in that general realm. And both of them must be the exact same sizes. So when you overlap them properly, you can actually roll the cigar. Preferably, I do Cuban style rolling, which is always right to left, and that's pretty much standard in the industry. When you do that, then you get a really nice, even, well balanced, strip separate, stripe separate.
Right.
That is,
and you can see the layering of the alternating layering of the wrapper.
And that's the
answer. So a cigar with a strip wrapped around it is not a barber pole.
No, not at all.
It's no different than, and I'll tell you, I love the talent and the skill of the Felix Gonzalez when he makes the different cigars with all the different shapes and all the different they did the Punisher, a skull on the cigars. I mean, all that stuff. I'm amazed by the talent when you watch how fast the hands are going and put it on there. But that's it's basically aesthetically pleasing.
It's a beautiful. To me, it's almost like art. I'm watching an artist working on a canvas, and he's creating this beautiful imagery that I love it. Now, again, I was actually asked this question not too long ago: is do you think that all of that changes the flavor profile of the cigar? Well, of course it does.
You're getting ahead of the game here. You're getting ahead of the game here because the construction of a cigar. I did some research, and I was reading a cigar journal that they did this retrospective. A look at 3 years, 3,000 cigars, and does construction of a cigar impact the flavor of a cigar? And from their assessment, the answer was no. And again,
I beg to differ.
Well, and I think it goes back to what we were discussing earlier. We go back to the cigar experience, right? The cigar experience. And can you really enjoy a cigar if you don't have a good experience with it? So, going to that construction of the barber pole, right? My question is, do you think that? And let me ask you, do you think that the barber pole wrapper impacts the flavor?
Wrapper always impacts flavor.
Okay.
Right? So now you're talking about double wrappers, 2 different wrappers, or whatever, whichever way you're using, Connecticut, Maduro, Candela, whatever it is you want to use. Wrapper impacts flavor. Wrapper is part of the construction, so it's always, again, the highest grade tobacco, the best of the best. It's actually for the aesthetic beauty of it on the outside. That's why it's separated, but it's flavor inducing as well. So, for example, if you actually have an off size in those strips, that will, I'm not going to say drastically alter the flavor, but it will not have the exact same flavor consistency that each barber pole well constructed on the outside will impart.
Right.
Now, one of the things that I had done actually at one point a while back, I had taken one of your cigars, and what I did is I took my where the hell I got it, my cutter. I have a 60-inch cutter, 60 ring gauge cutter, and I slid it about a good inch into the cigar.
Yeah.
I did a gentle all the way around cut. What I was doing actually, I was exposing the binder, without no wrappers. And what I did is I lit the cigar. Now that gives me the smoking experience of fillers and binders without the wrappers coming into play for about a good 15 minutes or so. And then when it hits that wrapper, you can immediately tell. And it's a fun trick. If anybody wants to do it, it works with any cigar.
We talked about that before. I was pretty impressed with.
It gives you a neat way to see that what you just said. Does wrapper impact flavor? That's easy.
Right. There's your test.
Cutter. You're not gonna go crazy and do some weird stuff. Just a simple little circular cut all the way around.
Right.
Remove that inch layer of wrapper, and you'll notice. I tell this to everybody all the time. You'll notice that there is a change the moment you begin to smoke well into wrapper with everything else. It's there. So if you don't do the wrapper correctly on a barber pole, in other words, if the two strips are not done professionally, well measured, well balanced,
Equally, you're right.
yeah, you could again. Is it going to be a massively horrible balance in flavors? Who knows? But
No, but it won't be true though.
exactly, it's not a true barber pole.
Well,
At that
not
point
true.
in time, aesthetically, it's not a true constructed barber pole.
And it can affect the burn.
And correct, burn is affected, and there will be a change in that flavor profile because there's something lacking. Maybe there's just not enough of one to make that balance correctly. So going real quick back, if I may, to the CAO America.
Well, Sean Arbuckle did comment and he said, "Bro, there's no infused cigars here. Go home." So we're both home, so we can continue. Go right ahead, Duncan.
I don't smoke. I'm not a big fan of infused cigars either myself. So the long and short of it is, like, for example, I'm a fan of the CAO Monument, which is the actual torpedo CAO America torpedo, and it's nice. I still call it a style of barber pole, but it uses a very small strip. Now, what I think that they're doing there is the reminiscence of the beautiful flag stripes, and all this stuff.
Right? Yeah, I get it.
That's a beautiful thing.
Yeah,
that one they went more for the aesthetic of that tie-in than anything else of making it a real classic style barber pole. It's not that. It's a beautiful cigar. I enjoy smoking the heck out of it. A lot of times it is grouped with the barber poles because the sort of look that it has.
No, definitely. I mean, I understand that. And that gets back to the conversation of construction is, what does make a barber pole? So there's a number of stories about the beginnings of the barber pole.
Kevin, your balls are being busted.
Your balls are being busted, Kevin. That's all right. It's okay.
You young kids from Florida,
he's allowed to get
Florida guys.
Busted. He's out there. I think it's an Ohio thing or something like that. I don't know. But going back to when I did my research, I know that when the factories would roll their cigars, if they didn't have enough wrapper to roll a cigar, that's how the barber pole really came about. They would use two wrappers and wrap them together because they didn't have enough of a leaf for a full wrap cigar, for a full cigar. But then I went and looked back, and it was during the 80s and 90s that and I could find that Fuentes was, I think, one of the first to come out with the barber pole. Now, I know you did your research, but there are two
houses from the same country. It's funny you said 80s, which a lot of people when we think about the barber pole or any type of cigar in general,
or the 80s,
the cigars have been around forever, which they have. But a couple of things that are interesting that I came across is also because we've seen barber poles a lot, further back than what's really out there. So I'll tell you what it was. One thing, two great houses, Hugo Casas, or Hugo Casar, basically, which today is, of course, Ventura Cigars, is credited to be one of those guys. It was called the Diamond Dominican Mystique. And you guys can also Google this. It's out there, and it came out officially to the market in 1996, which puts it a little bit further in the 90s, but the classic, lovely, gorgeous Fuente Hemingway Between the Lines came out earlier than that. It is attributed, of course, to the Fuente family, two great families, the Dominican. But here's the other neat thing. This cigar, as you said, came about because sometimes, you had some little extra leftovers and said, what are we going to do with it? What I remember, and this was many years ago, I was a tour bus interpreter and driver in Miami. And again, this was well 20, 25 years ago.
You translated for school buses?
Not a tour bus, full, not school, but tour. Did I say school?
No, I don't know.
Those are being busted.
You're starting to concern me a little bit here, Duncan. I mean, dig into your past, we find out about your barber pole.
Are you sure you're not from Florida?
I don't know, man. But anyways, go ahead. I digress.
No, man, no. But like when you go to like beautiful touristy areas, right? Particularly Miami, Tampa, anywhere that's like famous, the Caribbean, anywhere that's famous for cigars. It's interesting. I always, when I stopped in to bring, the tourists or not, I always saw there was one box or one bundle or one tray, and it was full of barber poles. And it was this crazy looking thing. And I always thought at first, man, it's a gimmick, these little gimmicky cigars. But part of it was to attract the tourist trade, a unique looking cigar. I don't honestly remember ever smoking a barber pole until literally well into the late 90s, early 2000s. And if I'm not mistaken, I honestly believe that it was a Hemingway or something. I think that was it, because I don't remember. I always thought they were gimmicks. I didn't like who the heck makes these things. But
I still throw it out there. If anybody knows how the Between the Lines got their name, I will give them a sampler pack of the Stogie Road cigars.
I'll tell you what, man.
Go ahead, Dunk. I'm sorry. I didn't mean to steal your thunder. You were talking about school buses and
school
cigars on school buses. I don't know what the hell you're talking
about on school buses. But it as you said, it people we know cigars have been around forever. But it's interesting to just imagine that this style of cigar making really hasn't been around as long as cigars.
Right.
I find it like awesome. It's like, wow,
right.
Something that maybe in our 2-3 decade lifetime that we've been hanging out and smoke. This came out in that time period.
Yeah,
that's awesome as all heck, man. I love that.
It's a huge inspiration too, and that's one of the one of the reasons why when I decided to come out with a cigar, I came out with the barber pole was for several reasons. One, when you walk into a humidor, it catches your attention. It does.
Yeah, I mean, it again.
But I think a lot of people think of them as a gimmick, so I wanted to be able to provide people with a cigar that will catch your attention, catch your eye. It's an incredibly flavorful cigar and will take you on a journey. The barber pole always reminds me personally of the Stogie Road that I travel on, and have a barber pole cigar that is a great standard go-to cigar.
I go back to this, man. It's funny. I don't follow gimmicks. I don't follow one of these. I don't follow limited releases, and because again, to me, God bless them. If you're making a good cigar, I hope you're making it forever. That's what I want people to do. I that's my prayer for everybody. Any brand owner, my goal is to see their cigars always around.
Well, yeah, you don't clown around.
And when I started, again, not because it's you, but when I started smoking your cigar, your barber pole, one, it's very engaging, good flavor profiles. It's the type of cigar that if I close my eyes and I'm not looking at the barber pole aspect of it, I'm like, man, this is the stuff that I normally smoke. Yeah. This is the stuff that I enjoy. This is what I look for in every aspect of it in a great cigar.
But it is okay to say it's because of me.
Shut up, fool. But then
it's okay.
But when you take then the aesthetic
aspect
and a little bit of the story behind it, it really does make it even more enjoyable if you really think about it. I mean, you travel in a ton of places. You visited over 300 freaking lounges, man. The artistry that you work with is about that. And I love that when you think about this cigar, it's like, man, that's my friend, the Stogie Road, the meandering ways of the cigar man.
Meandering?
Yeah, that's a big word.
Yeah, dude. You know this audience, bro. Lower.
I'll tell you.
I appreciate that because you know what? It's very true, and being able to travel to all the different shops, that was the one thing I noticed in those lounges and in those humidors. And
Brian McKenna, you're not lying. It is the best one out there.
was the oh, thank you, thank you. Ronnie, I know, I'm sorry, but when we talk, I want to go back to construction because I really want to be able to say exploit. What's up, James? How you doing, buddy? I want to be able to utilize it and have you on these series and these shows because you do have a plethora, El Guapo. You have a plethora of knowledge and information.
I'm a platypus of knowledge. What?
So, when we talk about construction? Okay, we talked about the. You all right?
I think you just called me a platypus. What the hell is that?
I did. It's a platypus. It's unique. It's
a
furry animal with a bill that lays eggs. So that's all I'm saying. Very unique, much like the platypus, much like the very majestic platypus. And if there's more than one of them, they're platypi.
There you go.
A very hairy platypi.
This is a very educational show.
It is, man. It's more about it's about everything, dude. We start off with construction, and next thing we're talking about platypi.
Continue.
But what I was saying is that with your experience in cigar smoking, I know I've had my experience, and there's a lot of reviewers out there. What are some of the we talk about some of the signs of bad construction, right?
Right.
Tunneling. Now, okay, let me remove tunneling because that's more internal. What are some of the flawed constructions of the wrapper when reviewing a cigar, when smoking a cigar?
Now we're still referring to the barber pole, or in general?
Well, I would talk about the barber pole, and then obviously we're gonna eventually get into in general, and then we'll probably end up talking about trash can lids and shit. So just go ahead.
So
Jessica got the answer. The reason that the name Jessica cheated. That's a cheat. Jennifer gave you the answer.
Y'all ain't right.
The between the lines got its name because Fuente Roller would cut between the veins to make super smooth wrappers. That is between the line.
That's it right there. Beautiful. But I will admit to this. Even with my quote unquote love and vaunted knowledge of all things Fuente, I didn't know that. So Carrie actually educated me this past Monday, and then I was like, "Man, that's awesome!"
When Carlito was on,
look at you.
No, but listen,
elbows with the Fuente hierarchy. I love it.
Well, actually, it was honestly, I'm not like that. The Fuente family did a great deal for us during the fundraiser, and I could not thank them enough for what they did. So.
But Daryl also just said it.
Something Mav.
That's
Daryl, loose seams.
That's one of my pet peeves when we're talking about exactly. James, thank you as well. Without naming names, you and I have smoked one.
You must name names.
We're not going to drop names. No names dropping. But literally, guys, right there, they bloody damn well just separated. I mean, They opened up in the middle of the damn cigar, and we were. The cigar's like right there lit, and it's splitting it's opening right there. It blew my mind, which automatically said that the strip sizes were not done the right way. Now, again, a random one can happen, Kerry. A random one,
It's man-made. You have to understand that handmade. You win nothing, James. James, what did I win? You want to date with Carrie? You don't want that, dude. That's a horrible freaking. That's like losing a lottery.
But see, it's funny. Out of this cigar maker and out of this particular blend and what he produced out there, it wasn't a one-timer, unfortunately. So it was
right.
I automatically, because they were cutting costs and rushing and doing all kinds of different things, they literally were putting out a product that, in my opinion, was subpar. And
right.
was not overly pricey, but it was still a fairly.
No, I mean, but even when you buy an inexpensive cigar, if it starts doing that kind of stuff, it's still frustrating because it's still money that, when you're like, man, I just spent $4 on that cigar. I could have bought a Quorum, or whatever the case may be.
I agree.
So, but no, I mean, we definitely. Actually, one of the coolest things that I was introduced to, and we talk about the story and not only having a good cigar, but actually smoking a cigar with a great story, was Felix Mesa. Smoking
Great
his
guy.
cigar,
Great guy.
looking at his cigar bands, and we interviewed him, and learned the story of each cigar band, the meaning behind it. So when you're smoking that cigar, you're taking a journey with him. You're honoring his family, and when he did the event in Greenville several years ago, he had these bundles, and I'm like, I didn't know Felix Mesa had a barber pole.
Yeah.
It was fantastic. But, you're absolutely right. I mean, when it comes to, when you're buying a cigar.
And I expect and this is not a negative against Felix, because I do adore Felix Mesa, and he is not by many standards one of the the big super well known big time premium brands. He's not that. He's a great boutiquer, but by certain standards, this other barber pole was out in the market.
Yeah.
From one of the big boys, and I was like, man, I really did not expect that.
No, definitely that. And
at $9-10, I'm not expecting that. I refuse to.
And you know what's funny though is if Felix is a fantastic person, he's a great human being. He makes a great cigar, and he's a boutiquer, but he's also overseeing the Fuente Nicaragua factory. So
director of operations
So
in Nicaragua.
He is all things tobacco. That man,
dude. If you guys have not heard of this happened about a year and a half ago, or just a little bit under 2 years. Officially made the director for Fuentes there, and the factory is called La Bella y la Bestia.
Yes, so I was just getting ready to say that.
Dude, I've seen pictures already of I guess I think it's just like the guardhouse. They haven't even built, but the guardhouse looks like it's like right on like Disney's, fairy
guardhouse, and Felix is skiing. I'm like, how the hell does that happen?
I don't know, man. But I hear it's going to be a really a beautiful cigar factory, and it's funny. Chateau de la Fuente in the Dominican Republic.
Yeah.
If you ever see videos of that place, man, to be a roller there, to work within that environment, you have to have at least 20 plus years with the Fuentes, already working elsewhere to be moved down there. That's where Opus is done. That's where the Hemingways are done, the Añejos, and their style of craftsmanship and aesthetic beauty and the approach to the comfort of their top people, man, they go above and beyond. I mean, I'll tell you what, man. Imagine being a worker in that place, and you're looking around, and there's artwork, and
it's beautiful. Yeah.
It's beautiful. I love it.
I mean, that is a place, like you said, when you're working there, it's beautiful artwork. It's not like, dirt floors and, ceiling. You look at that place, it is gorgeous. It is
something?
Gorgeous.
I know Cynthia will attest to this. So when you talk to her, they have a young man. His name is, I believe, is Jose Rosario, that works there, and he oversees part of the Chateau Fuente operations. This is the rendition of honor and love to tradition that they have in that company. They have these beautiful, tobacco Indians throughout the different areas.
Yeah, I've seen that.
They walk around, man, and in reverence and in honor, in a spiritual way. They do this, which is beautiful. They smoke a cigar right on it.
They blow the smoke on it. They rub it down with rum.
A rum on it.
Yeah.
It's like for good luck, for reverence. I mean, man, I saw this video of them doing that. And I go, man, just those details that they show respect to the craft. I was like, wow, dude, that's
it's beautiful. It's a beautiful thing. And it's whenever I see those videos and I watch and I see the multiple, the grounds, the where the rollers
Yeah.
are. I mean, it's just a beautiful location. I mean, they've
You
been doing
know,
it a long time. Don't get me wrong. I mean, but I mean,
look what
just a lot of
Brian said.
pride.
Look what Brian McKenna put. That's actually an awesome point right there, and I agree wholeheartedly with that. Equally as important to the actual wrapper,
The
placement
aging,
construction, if you're using something that the aging is not balanced, the aging is not cohesive to what you want to create. And let's say you start out with a blend, right, Kerry? You start out with your blend, you're
yeah,
happy, you're excited, and the first year everything is gangbusters, everybody loves it. But then you go back, so year two is, man, something's not right here, and then you finally pinpoint that, well, one of my wrappers is not being aged the same way. That will
that's an
impact
impact.
flavor.
Yeah,
I hate that. That's
yeah.
when I want to go beat somebody up. I'm like,
Well,
what the hell?
well, you talked about using Fuente as an example with the rollers. I mean, it also is having the same people rolling the cigars and getting um, really getting not only accustomed to it, but they have the experience and they're rolling the same cigars. I know when you visited when we were down in Florida and you visited Pepin, how many cigars? What is it there? Was it the Lancero or the special blend that
So
they?
down at Pepin's, there is a factory at the corporate headquarters in Miami Lakes. They produce there the Tatuajes series for Pete Johnson. They do limited run releases, and only there is the production of Lanceros. So any and all Lanceros that are done under the moniker of My Father Cigars or Tatuaje, they are all done there by people that's all they've ever done. And interesting enough, not a single person there working within that
Right.
little region there. They're all Cubans. They're all Cubans. They're all old people. I mean, I love it because you know what? That means that's all they've ever done. These guys are freaking badasses, for lack of better terminology. But Jose Ortega, which is the vice president of sales North America for My Father Cigar, said, "Man, those are the guys. I mean,
Right.
we train people here, but in Nicaragua we got some great, amazing workers, fantastic. But these are the core people. Some of them are still with them since Pepin opened his doors in Miami. So they've been
Yeah.
with him side by side since then, and that's experience right there. That's mastery, man. I was like, holy Moses, I loved it.
So here's Kevin Shahan's got a question for you, and I'm actually going to answer half of this, even though you asked it to Duncan, because Duncan, he steals my thunder. I got to steal his. He says, Duncan, how much extra?
He's stupid. I can't take you. You are.
I know,
That's
I'm stupid. How much extra training does it take to roll a barber pole? If a roller is asked to do a barber pole, how long does it take them to be able to do it? Is it a quick learn? And
Yeah.
I just want to comment one thing on this,
Good.
and then let you answer the question that
No,
was
man,
asked to
go,
you.
please.
I talked to Jeffrey Amendola, and Jeffrey, he's a roller. He's got Amendola cigars, and I was asking about the barber pole, and he said, "Dude, they are difficult." He's like, "It's just a very difficult thing to do." I also told Jeffrey he needs to stop drinking, but no, he did tell me, and he's just got, "What's up, living large, my man?" But he did say that it's difficult. So Duncan, I'll let you answer the question.
Well, again,
But before I'm just kidding around. Go ahead.
shut up, fool. So here's the thing: learning to roll a cigar properly, visibly beautiful, right? It doesn't happen in 3 weeks, or I mean, because you got folks that just a standard cigar roller. I mean, they've been at it a lot of times since they were kids. They were very young, and
Yeah.
they're done. And then when you factor in,
It's no
you say,
joke.
well, now I'm gonna do this with a double wrapper. Now, again, they got to take the full leaf and shape the piece that they're going to do just for a regular cigar. Now,
Right.
they have to do that to 2 different leaves and utilize a cut that's actually a lot less than what they normally do, but so that when they overlap properly, it gives them the same width for a leaf. So that alone, you're looking at more time, more training. So,
But if you don't know how to roll a barber
and,
pole,
and
you
if,
shouldn't be rolling a barber
and
pole.
if you don't know how to roll a barber pole and you want to experiment, well, I can guarantee you, it may look something like like this, and go smoke it. Time
I,
for
I
time for
I got some tobacco, and I start messing around and rolling cigars, and I got to tell you something. Just a regular cigar, it's like you have this newfound respect when you see just how fast they do it on the
well.
videos. I'm like, wow, it blows me away.
I know for a fact, and this is again easy to look up and watch them doing it. A really good, well trained, and I'm gonna just say expert roller,
Right.
and the team, the buncher and the roller can
Yeah.
produce 500 cigars in a day. I mean that's a lot. Let's say in 8 hours, right there. That's a good chunk of movement. They're looking to average about one cigar between a minute to a minute and a half.
Right.
Once they take it out of the mold and they begin the process within 1 minute, sometimes even less.
Mm-hmm.
And again, that's, I mean, beautiful. Finished, they can do that. Taking their time, minute and a half, 2 minutes. Imagine then when you're doing one as difficult as the Perfecto Hemingway edition, which they're only tasked to produce a very small quantity of that.
Right. Take your time, get it done right.
They don't care about production there. They care about quality.
Right.
So that's insane. I honestly believe that a well-trained roller can do a barber pole, within 2 minutes. It's a little bit longer than standard, but that gives them plenty of time for the fix-up
Right.
and whatnot. Training for that. Listen, if you're great at it in 5 years, congratulations. If you are an expert at it in 3 years, fantastic. But I want the guy who's been doing it for 10, 15 years.
Right.
And that's what I'm looking for always. I'm looking at a guy who's been doing it for a long, long, long time.
Well, yeah, Daryl says sounds like you're talking about just rolling the wrapper, not bunching and binding. You're absolutely right. I mean, the bunching and binding is a completely different area, and that you see the different factories. They have different folks that do the bunching, and the binding, put them in the molds, and then you have the rollers.
So
You
that's
have
called
the
a team.
rollers.
What he's talking about is okay. A standard team in any factory, Daryl, and to everybody. Which, if you guys know this, it's not like I'm dropping anything.
I don't know anything, Duncan. Act like I don't know a thing.
So
Wouldn't be the first time.
when you hear that a factory will have 100 teams, that's 200 people. That means 100 guys are bunching and 100 guys are rolling. It's a team. One guy here, all he does is he gets a selected tobacco that is brought to him from quality control or the people who select everything for him, and then he's bunching. He's creating that rough, ugly looking bunch. He kind of creates a standard shape, and then he puts it in the mold. So all he's doing all day long is that bunching, putting it in the mold, and then putting it in the press for a couple of hours. And then they take always the oldest one out of the press. They hand it to him. Usually it's about a 10-count mold that is given to the wrapper. So that's right there.
Yeah, I've seen the different stacks of them,
Yeah.
and they pull them out. Or I've seen them get. I've seen them come in rolls with the paper
Yeah.
wrapped up, and they open them up. And Kevin says, so the roller is cutting his own leaves for the barber pole. He thought that he or she would be handed strips. No, I mean,
No,
especially
the
when it's your craft. When it's your craft,
Yeah.
you got to get the feel for it. You can't just have someone give you. Here's your 2 strips. Go ahead and roll your barber pole. It's part of the process.
I mean, this is a really bad representation, but
Yes, Daryl.
if this is your leaves, right? You take your chaveta. Again, this is not a chaveta. Chaveta is a cutting utensil, and you got to do the right cuts and trim that so that you know that you have the right cut for the first sheet that you're going to use. And then that exact same cut has to be done on the other sheet again, and then you have to overlap that. No one's handing that to the wrapper. The wrapper's sole mission statement is exactly that.
That's in the job description.
And I say the word wrapper in Spanish, in English. In Spanish, is torcedor. Torcer means to basically to twist.
Right.
El torcedor is the guy that's doing all the wrapper work. El bonchero, it's the guy who's doing the
bunching, right?
Of the binder, and yes, sir, the bunching of the binder and the capote, which is the filler, and the binder, which is tripa y capote. Tripa is the interior filler, right? And you're looking for tripa larga, tripa corta. Tripa larga means long leaf or long tripe, if you will. Tripa corta is short, so on and so forth. But capote is the binder. So a great bunch gives you a good, shape to put into the mold. So the better the buncher makes it and puts it into the mold.
I was going to say, because we talk about construction. Every team member on, everybody impacts that the construction of the cigar. I mean, because we, I don't want to get off the topic of it, but yes, Daryl, Kevin, the roller, they roll the wrapper on the cigar.
Correct.
And the bunchero, they bunch, and they do the binder and put it in molds. But that's why it's so important for the team, because I go back to the original question had to be around tunneling. Or plugging,
right?
Or even an uneven burn. It doesn't matter how good the roller is if the bunchero doesn't do their job properly, or if it's done in haste or whatever the case may be. That's where the construction from internal can actually impact the external.
So if I may do a quick demonstration to
Please.
You right there. Okay, I'm gonna just use these, little white sheets of base. So the bonchero begins with creating the actual core, the binder itself, la tripas, the layering. So you got different ways, you got the accordion, you got the entubado, you got all different ways. Well, for the sake of argument, we're gonna just do it like this, open hand. He's gonna get one, he's gonna put
they layer it.
Two, he's gonna put maybe three like that. Maybe a fourth of ligero dead center, and then he's gonna, begin the process of creating a very rough, shape. And then a lot of times they do something that's called either front loading or back loading. So they'll take the little excess here, right there, of that tobacco, right, to sort of give it a little bit better shape. And I have seen them either add it to the top of what the cigar will be. That's called back loading a cigar. Or to the bottom, it's called front loading a cigar.
And hence the reason why when Kevin smokes it prop style, if you smoke it backwards, you get a different flavor than smoking it regular.
And that's if they do that. I mean,
right.
And so sometimes the actual buncher will feel the bundle putting together. And
I'm sorry, I'm just laughing at the comments, man.
Carries the roller.
Kevin's just being.
Oh yeah, I agree with that.
Because he said that's bullshit. He said the buncher does all the work and the roller gets.
So they say that
no respect. I get no respect.
Maybe the buncher feels a little bit of a hollowness somewhere, right, in what he's creating. So he might also take that little extra and fill it in there. So that now creates a nice balance. Now this. If he just says, well, the hell with it, I'm going to just put it in like that, obviously the mold is not made for that. There's going to be a lot of inconsistency in that. So he's got to make sure he's got some sort of a rough shape in his hand already, that when he puts it into that nice mold and he puts the second top.
You forgot the binder.
Like I said, let's say this is the filler. Then he'll have a few of these, binder leaves already laying on his working space. So he'll take this and put it in there and just do a rough roll. It's a rough roll, just like that. So it'll begin to look a little bit cleaner. But even then, it's still not quite what it needs to be. So that's when it goes into the mold. Right. And I'm really oversimplifying this a lot. When I try,
no, it's fine. I mean, we got a very simple crew. We got Kevin's listening. He asked a question, so.
No, I say, but let me see. James here, but doesn't it depend on how the roller rolls the cigar? What I mean is the roller tight or?
I think it's more about the binder, and I mean when you're bunching it, I mean I'm sure that the roller they're not like correct me if I'm wrong, Duncan.
No, go ahead.
I think when it comes to the roller, can have impact on it of smaller ring gauges.
Yes,
But nothing that's going to make it so tight that you're not going to have a good draw. That would be the only way I could see it having an impact is with a smaller ring gauge.
petite sizes, Lanceros, Lonsdales, Panetelas, the classic Cuban sizes, which are a little bit smaller ring gauge, can be much more impacted by the actual torcedor, the roller, than the bonchero, believe it or not. Because once you got the basic shape already, which is composed of the binder and the filler, and it goes into that mold for 2 or 3 hours, 4 hours, when it comes out, you can literally just hold it and it's not going to come apart. That means that the bonchero did his job the right way.
Right.
It makes it a lot easier then for the roller to come in and then take that beautiful leaf and just do the.
And that's where you get the different shapes, the box presses, and all different shapes. Depends on how the mold is.
A cigar when you're smoking it, and it's you feel gaps or
it collapses in the middle. Yeah,
that's a construction problem, and that goes not to the wrapper, but he
roller.
He could have caught it.
Yeah.
It goes more to his buddy. So that's why when you have a good team, they work off of each other beautifully. They know what the other guy needs.
What's funny is
we'll tell him, man, this one sucks. I'm not going to do this one, and he should tell us that.
I've seen them, and Daryl asked Daryl's question, and you can answer Kevin's question. Daryl, I think when people say I roll my own cigars, I think that's just kind of a common term that they do everything from bunching, to binding, everything else. But but you're right. I've seen some of the rollers. They'll get the cigars in front of them, and they'll grab the cigar and they'll feel it, and they'll put it aside. They'll take another one, and they'll feel it, and they'll roll it and put it over here. They'll feel it, and they'll put it aside. If you have someone who's just taking it, rolling it, that's where you're going to get some inconsistent construction.
Because they're there for the production.
Exactly.
Produce nonstop. And you know what? And because I gotta do, if you don't mind, one more check, but I'm gonna say this before I go check on my meatloaf. What happens is, and I hate to say this, the bigger the environments are where these factories are, a lot of times they're hustling to produce so much. That's where you will get the occasional, God forbid, inconsistency that, well, we got to get our quota in. We got to get the quota in. So what one guy should have stopped and said, we're not going to use this, doesn't happen. Then you got the guy who is walking up and down. Now, there's a guy that all he does all day long is walk up and down.
Right. You got to have
He's a QC guy. So he doesn't check all of them, but, he'll randomly check every 5 or 6 or 7 cigar that they keep producing.
But that can happen in any factory, regardless of the size. And I always say, because, like you said, every factory has a story. So it doesn't matter if it's big and they're under production, needs, or if they're smaller and they're under production and they have production needs. I mean, both are going to have production. It's all relative.
That's why I love boutiquers, because I guess their sizes, they have such a great eye on quality. I mean, and I really do appreciate that. Again, guys, nothing negative to the big names. I love Padrones. I love Fuentes. I love all the guys. I do. But boutiquers, I think that they have a little bit more hands-on, and even they have problems. People listen. Somebody could show up at the factory, pissed off. His girlfriend left.
Bad day.
Could
have been out drinking the night before.
Well, my partner is working late with a client, and I said, I got the meatloaf, so I don't want to burn it either.
All right, go check your meatloaf.
I'll be right back.
All right, just go. All right, so while Duncan goes and checks, we don't want to let his meatloaf. No, mold don't have to be used, Kevin. And actually, I think there's been some cigars that have been produced that roll it the old-fashioned way, and they use the newspaper and molds. They obviously didn't have molds back in the day, But they have found, I learned this through Lars, that they did find stone molds from the Mayans. Fantastic, right? I do understand, and definitely agree. Who the hell would put Meatloaf in during a live show? I don't know. That's just complete disrespect for the. You know what? Duncan's gonna have me on his show, and I'm gonna put a meatloaf in the oven, and then I'll have Jennifer check it. Do you think it depends on the size of the factory, though? I just asked. I don't think it really does depend on the size of the factory. I think it's all relative, just like the size of the company and the size of the factory. You know, everybody has their own deal. Whether it's someone who's bigger, if they say, "Hey, man, I got $30,000 out that I need to collect." You have a smaller guy saying, "I have $300 I have to go out and collect." It's all relative to the size, and I think it's all relative to the factory as well. Inquiring. No, Duncan's not going to make mashed potatoes. Adam, what's up, my man, from FH Cigars in Traveler's Rest? Applesauce perils. I never heard of that. Pork chops and applesauce. That's what I ever heard. There's a boutique factory seems to have serious quality control. Several brands come from that has a license. And it happens, Daryl. It definitely does. It happens. I mean, Duncan and I were talking earlier about a bigger name company. I'm sorry, Daryl. Oh, that's funny. But we were talking earlier about bigger factories. And, Duncan and I mean, I've smoked a couple cigars from bigger factories that had a consistency of literally just bad construction. So I think that, and I've had some from boutique companies that had issues. I've had them from bigger companies that had issue. And I think it all boils down to the quality control. It really does. Why do you remind me of the dads from the Goldbergs? I don't know. I don't know if I should take this as a compliment or not, Adam. I appreciate that. I was smoking Karen Berger's the Habano box press. A great cigar. What's going on, Jorge? Good to see you. Thanks for joining us. So everybody's asking, are you going to make mashed potatoes too?
Green beans, mashed potato, and actually gravy with a little bit of the drippings from the meatloaf. So I really love cooking, believe it or not.
Very good. While you were gone, a couple of comments. Daryl pointed out that there's been a boutique company that's had some issues. Several brands had some issues. And I told him, I said, what's funny?
Hey, that's Mexico, man. I mean, not Mexico. That's Dominican Republic.
Yeah.
Oh, awesome.
I said, what was funny is I hearkened back to your comment earlier when we discussed a brand that we've smoked that had, consistent issues with a brand, and it was a bigger company.
Yeah.
So, and I've had other, when I go into a humidor, I've had an issue with a boutique company, that, I will, Brian, that I've smoked their cigars. They're fantastic, and they came out with a blend, and I was really excited about that particular blend. And my first 4 cigars I smoked, the first one plugged horribly. Second one, mouse hole. The third one just burned so uneven, it was frustrating. The fourth one plugged, and
at what point did you just give up?
it's like food too. I just keep eating it. But I mean, it was something that really frustrated me. So I went to another cigar shop and I saw what they had.
It's not Boston Market. It's from scratch, but
So I went to another cigar shop and I saw it and I picked it up and I bought one and it smoked fine. I just thought, you got a bad box. And one of the things that I've heard, and I think we've heard this before, is there's cigars that come out and they're fantastic. They're short run, or maybe they're the cigar of the year. And then when they get popular, they start mass producing them. And then that's where some of the issues come into play. And this particular cigar, I've heard that it came out. The first run was fantastic, was popular, so they were really rushing. They had some construction issues because of the popularity of it. Because they were, there was a supply and demand, and it didn't matter whether it was a big company or a small company. It was the same. The same problems existed, but you're going to probably see it more, at that micro scale.
I am. I'll tell you what, man.
Daryl, smoking is too expensive to keep trying.
Yeah,
I know, Daryl. I'm a dumbass. That's the reason why you're smart and I'm not, buddy.
I agree with Daryl's statement right there. I don't give a bad cigar that many chances. Let's say I understand that a bad cigar will happen. A bad cigar will happen. It'll be okay.
I do. I'm an idiot.
It happens. So I'm saying, well, you know what? I'm gonna wait. And what I do is I wait. A few weeks, a few months, then I go back and I buy another cigar, the same one, or whatever, same blend. But I said, well, you know what? It's had time to now sit in that humidor at my favorite cigar shop, or maybe it's a brand new box and whatnot.
Mm-hmm.
I try to begin to put good scenarios in my head so that I said, well, you know what? I'll give it another try. If I smoke that second cigar and it's the exact same repeat, I'm done. I mean, then there's a lot of time that has passed.
Right.
There's the opportunities for maybe a fresh box to have been open. I mean, I put in other different criteria that I want it to be good so that I can maybe smoke it again in the future. But if it ends up being bad, then I look at, is the construction the issue? Is the flavor the issue?
The flair.
Is it the fact that maybe the aging is not correctly? Did they rush it?
Yeah.
Am I tasting ammonia? Is it a chemical thing?
I remember contacting you. I remember contacting you a few years ago when I picked up some cigars from us, and it was a specialty cigar. It was a winter Christmas cigar, and I ended up smoking it, and I think I probably smoked maybe a couple of drags from it, and I put it down. I got a bad headache, and I was just like, Duncan.
Oh, I know what you're talking about. Yeah. That company is, I hate to say it, but it's famous for that. I hate it. I cannot stand that. What kind of a person continues not once but more? I mean,
and it was a smaller company, and I'm like, you know what? They were in
they're rushing the process.
They're rushing the process, and it was the ammonia was so powerful. I remember I got a headache. I had to lay down because I was nauseated, and I don't think I smoked a cigar for 2 days afterwards.
Here's the thing. I know where you're talking about because one of the ones that you gave me from them, a year later was when I think I could smoke it.
Yeah, because I told you, I said, Duncan, do not smoke this cigar. Yeah. Bad. And then you get a cigar like Paul Gamarian, where they
know.
Daryl asked me a question the other day about, I had a Paul Gamarian cigars and I gave him one, and I gave him the Maduro, because that is one of the best cigars I've ever had. And he's like, why is this not in your, he goes, oddly enough, the PG's never been in your top 5 cigars. And I said, I look at Paul Gamarian at a different level, because if I was to actually include him in my top 5 after the Stogie Road cigars, because I'm a biased prick, Paul Gamarian cigars would literally litter the top 5 because they make great cigars. I don't even put them in an area where I would put them in a top whatever, just because they exist on a different level. And that's just my opinion, because I think they know how he mastered the aging of tobacco, the rolling of the cigars, letting them sit after they've been rolled, shipping them up. I mean, just fantastic all around.
You're talking about a guy who has someone in his environment literally take each cigar one by one and flip them every quarter. I mean, so that it's a guarantee that cigar will continue to age properly, that the actual humidity will not settle in one area. They continue to over and over flip that cigar They
flip the tobacco. Then once it's rolled, they flip the cigar.
The steps that he takes to that is what you look for and he's a small company. He's a small company. He literally also will not sell to anybody that's within 50 miles of wherever he's got one of his shops. Hey, can I go on mute real quick? I gotta take a phone call. If you guys don't mind, I'll be with you momentarily, Kerry.
God.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it. Sorry.
Is the meatloaf calling you?
I think so. Hey, my love.
Person. So while Duncan is taking the call from his meatloaf, yeah, Paul Gamarian's in a level all by himself, in my opinion. I think he's been doing it since 1989. See that, Adam? And exactly. I mean, it's whether it's construction or aged tobacco, they do it right. If you haven't had a Paul Gamarian, make sure that you get a PG cigar. They're fantastic. They just are. I mean, I always tell the story of going into a shop for the first time in McLean, Virginia. Knew nothing about it. Grabbed a couple cigars. One of them was a Lancero rolled in 1992. I was like, yeah. I drove out. I lit it up. I smoked it. I drove around the block. I went and I dumped $200 in there, and it was just complete excitement over that cigar. So. It's the construction, in my opinion. Well, James, you know what? With Paul Gamarian, there is one thing. There's a couple things he does, and I don't know about that 50-mile radius thing. I think Duncan might be off on that. I could be wrong, but Duncan is the cigar consigliere. There is one thing he does not do. Advertising. Paul Gamarian does not. And when I was traveling, when I walk into a humidor and I see someone carries Paul Gamarian, I'm like, okay, they know what the hell's going on. They know what's going on 100%, because that is a primo cigar. Paul Gamarian's been doing it since 1989, so he's doing something right. He's in so many shops, but not in every shop. And Duncan, I was just talking about. I said I didn't hear the 50-mile radius before with Paul Gamarian, and James said that if he won't sell to anybody outside of 50-mile radius, he's and those kind of brands are losing market. And I said, Paul Gamarian's been doing it since 1989.
Yeah.
And I don't know about I said I don't know about the 50-mile radius, but I know that he doesn't advertise at all.
Yeah, he literally, when we first brought him down, thanks to you, to Tobacco Plus, one of the questions was, who else around you is carrying you? Or I even asked, hey man, what? He goes, well, we specifically sort of look from wherever we're going to
first-hand knowledge
do that. They look around 50-mile radius, and if you really think about it, it's very similar to, in many ways, to Davidoff. Davidoff does not put a Davidoff appointed shop or store, every 10 miles. They just don't do that.
Right.
The fact that I think that they are not necessarily strict on that or hard on that, I don't think that loses them anybody. On the contrary, it makes it, like, for example, one of the most amazing things I kept hearing when people would walk into Tobacco Plus and see that we carried PG, were like, wow, you have PG. And it's one of the cigars that literally is followed by people who know how to smoke, like really pursue this. This is one of those that is always, it has to be in your rotation. So they have a following, an underground cult following. It's insane, man. And like you said, he's been at it for years. I mean, I have his book and everything like that. I mean,
yes, this is a funny story. It's a funny story how you got your book.
The word purist really applies to him, and I think that in this case, purist, the way they do it is really a beautiful thing.
It is
a really good thing, honestly.
It is. I remember.
They're not elitist.
Not at all. Not at all. Yeah. It's not. I mean, trust me, you walk in that shop, you're not going to think that you're in an elitist shop.
Yeah, I mean, you've been there. A lot of times when I hear white label or I mean, there's a way that you can look at an elite.
Very, very low key.
That's not them.
Truly humble. And when I walked in, I've been there a lot, but the one time I walked in, his son was there, and I said, I wanted to buy you a book, and I wanted to buy his book, and I said, you have it in Spanish? He said, yes. And he goes, my dad's here. Do you want him to sign it? I said, that would be fantastic. So he comes over and he goes, how you doing? I shook his hand. Very nice guy. And he's like, I said, can you sign it to Duncan? And he stops and he looks up. He goes, Duncan Echevarria? And I said, yeah. He goes, why do I know this name? Why do I know this name? And his son goes, he just placed an order today, Dad. He goes, oh, that's right. Because I remember I was bringing cigars to you and you placed the order.
Yeah.
He signed the book. He goes, here, it's free. Well, I did tell you I bought it, but he said, here, it's free. But I mean, super. What's up, Ron Brown from RTB Cigars? Super nice.
What's going on, Big Ron? Look at you, brother. How you doing?
Super nice guy. Very down to earth. Very humble. I mean, for what he's accomplished and what he's been able to do, he doesn't need to be in the limelight. He doesn't need to be sitting there talking about himself, beating his chest, and pushing his brand all over the place. He literally is such a low key, nice gentleman. I've met him twice. We're not buddies or anything, but I met him twice. Both times, very nice. I dealt mostly with the Chechnyan sniper.
Emil, the Chechnyan sniper.
But even Emil, when I first met him, he and I built a relationship. Very knowledgeable, very nice, very direct guy. What's up, Dustin? Dustin's on. I completely was blown away just by the shop.
Yeah.
I mean, it's just
It's in a shopping center.
It's in a little shopping center. It's between a great flexologist and a I think it was a Hispanic grocery mart. Just the nicest people, and really completely 90% of the cigars in his humidor are Paul Gamarian. So I didn't know shit about Paul Gamarian when I walked in there, but I'll tell you what, Emil made sure I knew everything about it. Yeah. He's the guy. When I said, hey man, I said, how you doing? Okay, he goes, can I help you? And I'm like, do you see all this Paul PG stuff? I said, what other sticks do you have? And he goes, sticks? I said, yeah. What other sticks do you have? What do you mean sticks? It's not a stick, it's a cigar. I could beat you with a stick. And I went, cigar?
Yeah. It gets intense.
It's all good. It's all good, man.
But on a good note, and I think that, and I'm going to add this to the defense of the why. I sometimes like someone who does that sort of protection to their brand. Because they really wanted to be with the right people who are going to understand it, who are going to be able to sell it the right way. I believe that, I think it was the comment, I just saw it. James said that, that he said that they don't want him to sell in certain other states because, sometimes it's part of that pride of ownership, that understanding that we do sacrifice a lot to bring a beautiful product to you, and we want it in the right hands. So the greatest compliment when we started carrying PG for me was, man, the fact of the matter that you guys got PG. I mean, the way that they were referring to was like saying, man, you got like every opus on the face of this earth. Man, you got Davidoffs, you got all the Padrones. It was on that level of wow factor that meant people who really enjoy a quality driven product like the fact that we had it, Dame, and we did really well with PG there. So again, I on that part, I don't think it's about. I think Padron, you got to be a year as a cigar shop or something like that, and then you gotta let them know with pictures and something. Each person may or may not have different criteria because of their pride of their brand.
Right.
Okay, and nothing wrong with that, But I love PGs and. Whenever and any chance that anybody has to get them, please definitely try them out. I kid you not. You're not going to be calling me or Kerry and saying, "Oh, they're horrible." You're not going to do that.
So Daryl asked a question about PG. Are we saying it's the gold standard of premium cigar construction? I can give you my opinion on that, and then pass it over to Duncan. I think Paul Gamarian and when he started and the length of time he's been in it, I think it allows him to kind of to have this to continue his business practice. But when I think of boutique cigar, I think of Paul Gamarian. That's just me. I think he's a gold standard for boutique cigars. I think he's the gold standard, or he's up in there. Obviously, there's a lot of great people, the Fuentes, the Padrones, but he's
boutique.
but no, but I'm saying he's up there when it comes to the gold standard.
Yeah.
When it comes to aging cigars.
Yeah.
And if you read his book, you'll understand why.
And to add to what you just said, I don't equate him with the big names because of how much he produces. I equate him to the big names because of his quality control and his pursuit of a well-created cigar. That's why I also agree with the gold standard. I also think that if you're a boutiquer, man, read the guy's book. If you're looking to emulate someone and you want to pursue that style, he did it. I mean, the Kellner family, which of course are the owners of the Davidoff brand, are the ones that work hand in hand and develop a lot of the PG stuff. A lot of folks don't understand the criteria that you have to achieve for that marriage. It's not like Davidoff Cigars makes cigars for anybody. I mean, when Paul Gamarian created a marriage of who would make what he wanted
and distribute it, yeah,
literally at the bottom. He said, well, Mount Olympus seems like the right place to go to, and he just did it. It's I think that's awesome. It's precarious because if you don't do it right and if you're not successful, you have a long way to fall.
Most definitely, it most definitely, and I even when you talk to them, they'll even tell you that even though they are partnered with with Davidoff, they use their tobacco, and their cigars are not a Davidoff cigar.
Correct.
You could smoke them; they're completely different. They just use them. They partner with them when it comes to the distribution and so on and so forth with bringing it in.
Like I don't know, Padron does not make cigars for anybody. Padron is Padron. Now imagine all of a sudden one day you and meet with Jorge Padron and you guys hit it off and you guys are you say this is my dream, and then also now Padron makes a cigar for you, but it has to be your complete cigar,
right?
Everything, but it's that kind of approach that the Gamarians, when they went looking, they did not start at the bottom or middle ground or anywhere. They said, if we're going to go big, we're all in, we're going to the top, and let's see what happens. That's why I like it that they still keep it small. They are boutique because they don't produce over 1 million cigars. They age everything for years.
Lord knows how many he produces, though.
I mean, you smoke stuff that's over 20 years old.
Yeah, it's hard to say how many he produces because I gotta tell you, man, there's his Maduro you can only get at his shop in McLean, and you can get it at the Taste of Cuba in Princeton, and that's it.
Yeah.
When I walk into a shop, I said it right when you were eating meatloaf or doing what hell you're doing with your meatloaf. You were not letting your meatloaf.
The meatloaf. It's a process.
When I walk into a shop and I'm looking at the cigars that are on the in the humidor, and I see Paul Gamarian, I'm like, okay, they get it, they know, and trust me, I've walked into some locations, and I've seen Paul Gamarian on the sale table, and it's only happened to me twice, and one time I was in Philadelphia. I walked in, I'm like, you get Paul Gamarian? And he goes, yeah, I brought this stuff in and nobody knew about it, and it's not selling. I'm sitting there thinking, you don't know about it, and that's kind of where a lot of my criticism comes into, which is one of the compliments I have for you is being a great tobacconist. And if you have a cigar like Paul Gamarian and it's on the freaking sale rack, guess who's leaving with all your effing Paul Gamarian?
Yeah,
this guy.
Damn fault that
and I did. I was like, okay, how much is this percent? I'm like, if I buy more, can I get more off? He's like, yeah. I'm like,
if I buy the entire box just to get it off your hands, can I get it a real deal?
Geez, man, this is terrible cigar. But that does happen from time to time. But
The very first week, and I think you know this, I told you the stories, and I've said this before, and this is not a negative because we corrected that immediately. But the very first week when I jumped in at Tobacco Plus as the operations manager for the humidor, and I love the owner. He's a wonderful guy today. Like I said, I love him, but he did not know how to move certain product because he did not know enough about it. He doesn't smoke cigars. He doesn't interact on that level. He literally had boxes of Liga Privada almost at 50% off, which would have brought it to cost on a sale table. I looked at him and I go, "What are you doing?" You know, because he understood that certain price points move better than others. He had the Oliva V's and the Milanios at the bottom, and he had the Oliva Gold bundles at the top. So a lot of times, if you get a tobacconist that maybe a good guy, he really is a nice guy.
It's not knowledgeable,
but doesn't know. He doesn't smoke. He doesn't interact. That could work against him. That's why I recommend this to all tobacco shop or cigar shop owners. If you are knowledgeable, God bless you. If you're not, maybe bring in a part-timer that has a passion and love for it, and that guy can help you exponentially through the roof with sales. You know, because he's the guy who's going to make sure that those cigars are displayed the right way, that they are talked about the right way. You know, so if your budget can afford it, bring a guy in part-time. If you can do it full-time, do it full-time. I've done consulting for different companies and love it because they are smart. You know what? That's a sign of smart people. They did not know, but they brought somebody in that did.
Yeah, James asked a question. He said, "Have you guys ever tried Nova?" I have not. He said they started at the top of the money train. Not a brand I heard of until recently, and the cost is up there. Does it not hurt a business if they are not established to put a cigar out there that's more expensive than most? So if you have a cigar that's not really well known but expensive.
So funny tiny anecdote. I was at the time working at Cigars Etc. in Charlotte. I love the place. The history of it is the first African American owned cigar establishment in North Carolina. Love it. I had a good friend of mine, and today we're besties. I mean, like today we are just really good friends. He was repping a brand. He called me and, "Hey man, I'm traveling with this guy, blah blah blah, and he's the main man for this brand, and we want you to try something." I said, "Okay, I'm always game." He handed me a cigar, you know, now at this size, you know, a little bit bigger than a little Robusto. And he had just like a little weird white band on it. Like somebody could have just cut a piece of paper and put it on it. Not a problem. And he goes, "You're looking at your next white label cigar." I'm like, "Okay." I'm game for anything. I said, what's the MSRP on this cigar?" He said, $16. I looked at him and I go, "Young man, this cigar better satisfy me on sexual levels that I can't be satisfied at $16." But I said, "But I'll play it. I'll play along." The other guy who was the owner or the guy for the company, whatever, he's looking at me, and my buddy turns around and he goes, "We may be in hot water here because Duncan knows a thing or two." And I said, "Well, I'm not doing anything. I'm going to go into it blind." I started smoking it, and I'll give you this much. It was a great $6 to $7 cigar. At best, an $8 cigar. Had he said $8, I think great MSRP. But at $16, an unknown, never seen, untried brand in the market, man, that cigar on a Robusto better tickle me from my toes and hug me and kiss me and tell me that I'm the best daddy ever. Because if it's not, there is no way I'm ever bringing that cigar or supporting it. So if you're an unknown, I always tell this to everybody, look at a good price point that people can afford,
right?
And balance that with a good blend, you know.
Right.
People love a good, $5 to $10. That's a beautiful range. You know, you can do a lot of wonderful things for a store in that range.
Yeah.
If you hit that range, you're going to be successful. Why? Because you now have a beautiful blend, a well-done cigar. You're a new guy. You're understanding that the affluent shopper can buy it. The blue-collar guy can buy it. The novice can enjoy it. The experienced guy. You've understood the dynamic that you want to be a little bit broader for everybody. But do
Yeah.
not ever hand me a $16 stick MSRP that I've never heard of. I'll do my research on you, and I'm gonna tell you, dude. At best, it's $8.
I'll
At
tell
best.
you, I'll tell you a good cigar that I had that was over $10. That's recently that, in my opinion, was a fantastic cigar, and the construction, as we circle back to tonight's topic, is the construction on it was flawless, and the flavor profile on it for me was incredible. And it's the new Monte Cristo 1935. Fantastic cigar.
Again, it's a legacy brand.
I
A lot of
mean,
folks always
wow.
talk a little bit harsh, on the legacy brands, but you got two guys behind it. You mentioned Nolal and Abdel, AJ. You know,
Yep.
they also work a lot of times in collaboration with the Grupo de Maestros, which is the group.
That's what this cigar was. The group, and it just fantastic.
So you love it. Now, in my mind, since you told me that day, I have had it back here. I gotta go look for that. I gotta go
Yeah.
look for that cigar. 'Cause, you know, you got good people behind it. I know there's going to be great tobacco behind
Yeah.
it. I know it's a legacy brand, which means that construction is handled by
Right.
people who've been at it for a long, long time. So,
Yep.
and I have never smoked it. I'm excited to smoke it, man.
It's a great cigar. I mean, I was really.
Do you remember what the price point was?
Um, Daryl. Daryl, do you know? I think it's like $13, if I'm not mistaken. I might be
Not
wrong.
bad for what it is and for everything I've heard about it. I think
Might
it's
be
a
wrong.
fantastic price.
Might be wrong. I've been wrong before, Duncan.
Yo, James, I agree, man. 15, $20. If I'm buying, and again, God bless it. Listen, I've been gifted, opuses and whatnot. Will I smoke opus? Will I smoke a Davidoff? Of course. Padrones, absolutely. But if I go pursuing that guy, that's what he's going to buy, I'm going to miss out, I think, more on my 80%.
Yeah.
Tobacco, a cigar shop should be 80-20 in everything. 80% of the bulk of your customer base is going to be that $5 to $10, $5 to $12 range. That's your bulk. Those are the guys that are going to support you and keep you running nonstop. The other 20% is split off as follows. 10% are the guys who are, they can afford it. They don't care. They got the money. Great, fantastic, lovely. I love those guys.
Yeah.
The final 10% are the people that are like, I want a celebratory cigar. I want a good cigar for my baby's birth. 80% is your people. The other 20, if they come in, wonderful. But don't bank on that 20, man, because that could make you go broke. And if you load up your inventory on high-end cigars only, you are
Gonna have some issues. Yeah, you're gonna be challenged. The Corona was $11. I know Daryl said he wasn't blown away by the flavor profile of the Corona. I might have had the Churchill or the Toro. I got to. It was a.
I'm a
It
big
was
fan of Churchill's, by the way.
it was a great cigar. I mean, and that's why Daryl does reviews and I do not. I just give opinions. Yo, man, I want to thank you for being on the show tonight. I mean, it was fun
That's
as
it.
always.
That's all we get. That's it.
And that's all we get. Your consolation prize is a meatloaf, mashed potatoes, and green beans.
I mean, you got all these great people. Well, this is true. I got.
A lot of great questions, but no, I want to circle back and ask you personally. And when we start off, we went off on a tangent as we always do, but we come back to construction. Construction. And as the Stogie Road Diaries continue moving on throughout the weeks, we're going to talk more about a little bit deeper into what we talked about tonight. I know we talked about bunching, we talked about binders, but I would also talk about more about the aging of the tobacco and the different techniques that are used to age tobacco, some of the cheats that are used to age tobacco, and how that impacts the flavor, and how can you notice what's been done to a tobacco when you smoke it.
Be a good one. It's gonna be a good one. I like where you're going with that. That's gonna be
Right, exactly, and digging deeper, because we got in a little bit deep in this conversation with Lars Tietens, who's a super nice guy. I mean, literally,
a rock star.
he's a rock star. But I can tell you, what question was that, Adam? But really a super, super nice guy. And he says, his cigars are not infused. He uses aromatic tobaccos. So
Which there's different styles. So
exactly. So that's
no,
going to be more of the conversation to have as
yeah,
well.
awesome.
He'd be even pretty cool to have on too to talk a little bit deeper about that because he's always looking to hop on the show. He's such a
Adam,
sweet
you
guy.
got to backtrack almost to the beginning when this all started about the barber poles, man. I hate to say it like that, but
Yeah, I know, right? We did hit that, but when it comes to construction, in your opinion, when you're talking about construction, tobacco blends, flavors, everything else, where does construction for you? How important it is for you when it comes to a cigar?
it's my top three. It's my top three. I mean, easy right there. Construction is one, and it begins from looking at the cigar, what the wrapper is going to tell me, feeling that cigar all along the length for what I can feel and the weight in it.
Hmm.
When I cut it, when I'm drawing airflow, construction, I it almost by a smidgen supersedes, also the flavor, which is my enjoyment part. But if that cigar, construction wise, is not there, you need to get on the ball with the team, man. You need to get on the ball with the team and get them to do it the right way. Construction
Right.
is number one. Flavor and all that, realm of different things that are enjoyable.
Yeah.
Number two. And then the last one, and not because of it's the last one, it's money, but did it give me that value? If I smoked a $20 cigar, did it give me all 20? If I
Right.
smoked a four, did it give me that? That's my three things that I'm always on 100%. But construction is number one, baby.
As a tobacconist, where does construction fall into? It's okay, Adam. Where does construction fall into the list of complaints that you hear as a tobacconist when people come back and say, "I had an issue with this cigar because of X, Y, Z"?
Well, a lot of it is burn issue. A lot of it is wrapper issues, all that stuff. So it's usually is right up there. It first.
Do you think you hear more? Did you hear more about construction issues in a cigar versus the taste, the flavor of the cigar?
I think people can sometimes, because they may get a little bit of a bad tasting one, like I said, that random one. I think people can forgive sort of the taste and what comes along with that more, because I tell them, listen, man, you know what? Have you smoked it a second time? Have you smoked it a third time? I
Different
think
Vitola, right?
construction is not that forgivable.
Right, exactly. Yeah,
I don't let it pass. My experience working in the back realm of that, sitting with guys who are doing it, letting them teach me. That's why I cannot, in good conscience, let that pass. When a customer tells me, "Man, this cigar unraveled on me," I'm like, "What?" I guarantee you, within an hour, I am smoking that same cigar, and if it does that to me, I'm pulling a third cigar and I'm dissecting that son of a gun.
right.
I mean,
Yeah.
that's how important it is. It's my number one pet peeve. Do not give me a badly constructed cigar, because
When you cut it open and you start dissecting it, the cigar doesn't lie.
no. I mean, again,
Does not lie.
it is what it is. It'll tell you everything right there.
Yeah, I can tell you, I've dissected many a cigars, and it's amazing when you actually open up a cigar. And I've even opened up cigars that are well constructed, and you can compare and contrast, and it's amazing
Oh
when
yeah,
you put them side by side. It's like night and day. And there's been times you can take a long filler bundle cigar, one that is a $3 cigar, $2 cigar, and open that up and compare it to some of the pricier cigars, and blown away by what
you're
you
like,
see.
really? Wow.
Exactly. So that's great insight, man. I appreciate you being on tonight. Do you think that I'll end with one more question. Do you think that the construction of and this is back, we were talking a little bit about roller. Well, the reason why we're talking about the roller is because the buncher and the folks who are bunching the cigar and putting the binder on and putting it in the molds, it's going to be the same. It's the roller when we come down to the barber pole because it's the roller. That's the reason
Yeah.
why the conversation really focused more in that area. Do you think that it's more challenging and those construction issues can become more challenging for those who are rolling barber poles versus a non-barber pole?
Yeah, there's a little bit more of that I guess that anxiety or the stress level of making sure that the consistency is always on point. It's beautiful. It's perfect. So the buncher, as much as I love that guy, he's more about the innards. That rapper, the torcedor, he's really got to be the guy because when you line them all up beautifully in that box and you're looking at them, man, you want consistency. You want it always the same thing over and over again. You want the lines to match up. He's got a little bit more of that stress on him, but that's why you want one of the best guys. That's all he's ever done. He's been a torcedor, a rapper for years. He then migrated to being a barber pole specialist. So that, there is a lot of importance, a lot of weight on the rapper when he's doing barber poles.
And there's nothing more beautiful than seeing a line of barber poles and they all line up. And there's nothing more irritating than seeing a bunch of barber poles lined up and they don't line
It's
up.
like you got the other one that has the light
Right.
rapper here, or and you're like, wow, man.
Or the strips are big and small and everything else.
Again, he didn't have a good day or he didn't have a good week, but that man needs to get his stuff together.
Kevin's getting you on the semantics of saying guys versus women.
Many beautiful Latinas upon their gorgeous thighs. The cigars are rolled.
It's the delicate hands of the rolling of the female hand. Not that there's anything not to be sexist or anything, but
the guy who trained Amendola is a beautiful woman. Her name is Odelma Matos. She is La Faraona. And actually, I've also had the pleasure of sitting with two beautiful Honduran ladies when I was training. Who one is the cousin, and the other one is the wife of the guys that I train with. And let me tell you, those ladies, they're very meticulous. I like working with Carlos. I love working with the guys, but the girls, it's all about a little bit more. They take just a smidgen more time. They even unroll, re-roll. I like that. I thought that was really great to be trained by women as a roller. That's what
I can imagine.
Sit down with a really good lady roller.
The La Ferrona, she's a rock star. I was down in Tampa. I was down there for work, and I stopped at the big festival down there. And I got down there right at the end of it. So I met with Joe Genovese of Wyatt Bear Clothing. Great guy. The Guayaberas that I wear from him. And I was like, oh, man, I want to go over and meet her. And I was like, there's no way I'm going to get it. It was the end of the freaking festival, and her table still had people all around it.
Yeah, she's a beast.
I mean incredible, and a presence. I saw her from a distance, and the presence was amazing. But I want to thank you again for always being on the show. Your expertise is always a huge asset to the show. More importantly, your friendship. That I can't say enough about, and always thank you for being a big supporter of Stogie Road Cigars and the show that we kicked off. That'll be coming up on 5 years, Duncan. 5 years, so amazing. I want to thank everybody for being on tonight. Maybe next time we could get on Daryl or Kevin or one of these cigar reviewers, and we could talk about marbling in the view of the cigar reviewer, as well as someone who's well-versed as yourself. Go get your mashed potatoes and your meatloaf and your green beans from Duncan Ramon Echevarria of Don Unoli Cigars. Oh, Duncan, are you still doing the humidor thing?
Yes. As a matter of fact, I gotta send you the link if you don't mind.
Yeah. I'm gonna put it up here.
Oh, hey, look at that. You got it. So, guys, we're still doing this. It's a great deal. If you don't have a humidor, now you can get one. It's a 150 count humidor. Plus, it's 6 bundles. That's 150 cigars. It's all in for $2.99. So, again, if you're interested, contact me. And if you can't, reach out to Kerry. I mean, like I said, either one of us, we still got that deal going on. Come on, get it, people. You can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, fantastic. And how can people get a hold of you, Duncan?
Right now, February the 8th, we've already been given the date, is when we relaunched our website. If not, I kid you not, the other day I ended up just putting my phone number up there because, if people have been calling me nonstop. So you got my number. You're more welcome to put it up. If
You got
not,
your house blend. You got the Doña Noli house blend.
Facebook me. Anything you guys want to reach out to me, Instagram me, Facebook me, YouTube me, I will reach out immediately right back. Yes, we have the Doña Noli Premium House Blend cigar. It's always $55 for a bundle of 25. We also do a buy one, get one half off. That's 50 cigars for $82.99, so it's not a bad deal either. You can get one for yourself and give one to a buddy, so you can't go wrong.
I would never do that. I would just buy both for myself.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah, you'd say the hell
And
with
they're
that.
fantastic. I've had them, and if you can't get a hold of Duncan or whatever, you can't remember, just contact me, and I'll put you in contact with Duncan, and he can hook you up with the fantastic Doña Noli house blends.
And we get meatloaf.
And maybe get a little bit of meatloaf. Duncan, my man, it's always a pleasure, buddy. I love you. This is the Viajantes, El Viajante, and my good buddy Duncan Ramon Echevarria, the Stogie Road Diaries. We'll see you next week when our conversation will be about the tobaccos.
I got